jealous husband, I think, is one of your topics.
Yeah, this is
The next topic.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a muddy story too. Okay, so for many years it was there were stories about how Officer Tippit, and I apologize, but this is part of the case, that Officer Tippit was having a sexual relationship with a waitress at Austin's Barbecue, where he worked part-time on the weekends. And this was finally confirmed in the 1970s when the House Select Committee on Assassinations, the HSCA, they interviewed her. And she confirmed that they were having an affair. And it says, quote, HSCA volume 12, page 37, quote, she quote, informed the committee that she and Tippit engaged in a relationship and started dating for a couple of years. She said that the relationship ended in the summer of 1963 when her husband returned home, end quote. Now, author Henry Hurt, he interviewed her, the waitress, and he writes in his book, Reasonable Doubt, quote, in a series of interviews in 1983 with the author, the woman readily conceded her illicit sexual relationship with Tippit. But what Hurt revealed next was shocking. Quote, her estranged husband followed Tippit and the woman around Oak Cliff at night when they were together. Also, quote, the woman, her husband, and their several children lived in Oak Cliff within a few minutes' drive of Tippit's strange activities just before he was murdered. So, Tippit, he wanted to marry this woman. She declined his marriage. She said no. The relationship ended. She realized that she was pregnant later, and it's just a sticky situation. This bizarre love triangle between Tippit, the waitress, and her jealous husband. She told the HSCA that after she and Tippit broke up, hold on a second, my mistake. So yeah, this is just a story that's there, and it seems a little too good to be true. But do you want to take it from here, Bill? I have some more stuff I can say about it, but
well, no, go ahead.
No, go on.
No, this is your topic. I don't really have a lot to say about this, but I can interject a few things at the end. But
yeah, Larry Harris and Ken Holmes Jr. They interviewed the husband of the former husband, the jealous husband, and they approached him at the restaurant where he was working or managed in the late 1970s, and they were nervous and going in and approaching this guy who they felt killed Tippit. And they introduced themselves, and he was like, so you think I killed him, right? And they're like, well, did you? And he's like, okay, sit down. Let's talk. And so he just enthralled them. They sat down, and like for 3 hours or so, he just enthralled them with this bizarre love triangle that was between him, his wife at the time, the woman, and Officer Tippit. And yeah, he was a jealous husband. He was following them around that night. And that's led to the theory that possibly Tippit murder, which most likely had nothing to do with the assassination, and that maybe this jealous husband had killed Tippit. And that would possibly explain Tippit's strange behavior that day, which we'll get into in the next topic. Is there anything you want to respond to now?
I kind of want to just basically, Helen Markham, William Scoggins, Barbara Davis, Virginia Davis, Sam Ginyard, and Ted Calloway. Now, these 6 people went to a lineup and picked Oswald. So are you telling me that it's possible, or are you just basically putting forth a theory of the possibility that this jealous husband resembled Oswald so much that these 6 witnesses that I just mentioned are going to pick Oswald out of the lineup as the man they saw shoot the officer, who also just happened to be the same guy who, half an hour or 45 minutes earlier is accused of assassinating the president? So did this jealous husband resemble Oswald or I guess I want you to address the witnesses who picked Oswald in the lineup if you think it's possible it's a jealous husband.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the jealous husband. Yeah, I'm very glad you asked that. Yes, he did resemble Oswald.
Okay, I've never heard that before. That's fine.
Woman,
Okay,
well,
where'd you get that from?
That come again. You haven't read Joseph McBride's book Into the Nightmare,
I
so
have not.
Okay, you should. Anyway,
No, I should. No, I should. No, I shouldn't.
he also interviewed the woman, and she said, "Yeah, my ex-husband looked exactly, and he was the same height, same everything. He looked same build, looked exactly like Oswald."
Yeah. Okay.
No,
So,
no,
so,
really.
so much so that it made William Scoggins pick Oswald in the lineup, even though really it was the waitress's husband.
Scoggins picked the wrong photo in the photo lineup, and he
At the physical lineup, Scoggins picked Oswald. So this jealous husband resembled Oswald so much that Scoggins or Markham or Barbara Davis, Virginia Davis.
If you actually read the testimony of Daniel Lujan, who was in the Saturday lineup, he actually said, shockingly, that there was no lineup because Oswald. They brought them up on the stage, and Oswald started yelling angrily and screaming, I'm not dressed right with these people. I'm being railroaded. And he said that there wasn't a lineup, that he started yelling and they took them away. So there was no Saturday night. There was no Saturday lineup. That was shocking for me to hear. So anyway,
William Scoggins says, well, he can, according to Jim Lavelle, who told Dale Myers, William Scoggins said, well, he can bitch and holler all he wants, but that's the man I saw running from the scene.
Yeah, so that's according to what an author wrote in 1998 about what he was supposedly told in 1996, about what that person was supposedly told 33 years earlier in 1963. No.
Right. Correct.
And we talked about this last time. Original evidence shows that Scoggins could not ID Oswald. 2 instances. But anyway, we're talking about
original evidence has Scoggins positively identifying Oswald at the lineup.
There's no evidence of that. Okay, so listen, we're pivoting now. Let's get back to the jealous husband. Are there any other comments you have on that?
No, I mean, so why did the jealous husband happen to gun down Tippit on 10th Street? Do you have an opinion on that or what?
I'm not saying that that's what happened. That is a possibility. And again, we'll get into this as we go into my next topic. But the waitress, she got pregnant, and she told the HSCA that she and Tippit broke up in the summer, but they had already broken up. But actually, Larry Harris and Ken Holmes Jr., they interviewed the actual husband, and he said, no, that's not true at all. He stated matter-of-factly that their relationship, Tippit's and his wife's, did not end until that he and his wife did not get back together until the next day. She said, and he said that she came to him upset, crying, explained that she was pregnant by Tippit and that he took her to the funeral home and they viewed him. She said goodbye. And then they raised the child as if it was their own. And
are you saying this kid was Tippit's?
I will tell you that she has eyes exactly like J D Tippit. That's all I'll say.
J D Tippit had a vasectomy.
Yeah, I know. That's what was claimed later.
How's he going to have a kid if he had a vasectomy?
That is what was claimed later, but I'm not saying that.
So all these claims, everything's just claims, and you're doubting all of it instead of giving it any.
Very rare to have a vasectomy back then. Anyway, plus vasectomies don't always work. Again, this is a very touchy subject. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. This is just what was told by the woman and her husband. And the question quietly lingers: was Tippit killed by a jealous husband? He did not. He gave 2 conflicting alibis. They said, "Where were you?" He told Greg Lowry, Dallas researcher Greg Lowry, that he was at work when Kennedy and Tippit were killed, at work. But he told Larry Harris and Ken Holmes Jr. that he was on his way to work and he heard about all this on the news, on his car radio, on the news on the radio. So it's very sketchy about where he was. And there's a witness by the name of Jack Tatum who came up years later. And and he said that the killer put the gun to Tippit's head as he lay in the street and fired one more shot into him. That's not a someone who's trying to escape, like Oswald. That's someone who wants that person dead. That's personal. And the HSCA even commented on it. They said in their final report, page 60, quote, this action, which is often encountered in gangland murders and is commonly described as a coup de grace, is more indicative of an execution than an act of I'm stuttering. Okay, you can take this out, right, Chris? Than an act,
Yes,
than an act of, fuck. I'm sorry, Bill. Is more indicative of an execution than an act of self. Can't get the word out. Is more indicative of an execution than an act of defense intended to allow escape or prevent apprehension. So if he had, and again, we'll get more into Tippit's behavior in the next topic, but that coup de grace does not sound like someone who's trying to escape, as I just read. That could sound like someone who just realized that he got his wife pregnant. I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
The coup de grace, you're talking about the final shot to the head?
Yep.
That didn't happen, though.
Yes. What do you mean it didn't happen?
Oswald did not go and fire a final shot to the head separate from the original outburst of shots.
That's what was claimed by Jack Tatum.
Right.
And it's also
only by Tatum. But listen, Jimmy Burt, Bill Smith, Benavides, Helen Markham.
I know.
William Scoggins, all of these guys, none of them, and Barbara Davis and Virginia Davis too, Ted Calloway, Sam Ginyard, all these ear witnesses, not one of them ever says there was one shot fired 20 seconds or 15 or 30, whatever, after the original outburst of shots. It didn't happen.
A guy named James Archer also says that there was a final shot to his head, that he shot him again.
Yeah.
Killer shot him again. So we have two instances of a coup de grace. If it is true, then that's absolutely significant.
But it's not true.
And you mentioned Scoggins, but at this point, Scoggins is hiding behind his cab. Helen Markham is on the ground covering her eyes. The Davis sisters are running to their front door inside their house. Jim Burt and Bill Smith are looking on.
Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith are standing right there looking at it.
Right there. They were a block away. But anyway,
exactly. They were right there looking, though. They weren't hiding their eyes or ducking behind their truck or anything like that.
And like I keep saying, it's very difficult that we can't get eyewitness accounts to match up. But anyway, yes, the question quietly lingers. Was Tippit killed by a jealous husband? And a few officers on the force did believe, they did feel that he was indeed killed because of this love triangle. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it. Well, to be honest, it seems too good to be true. But who knows?
But let me ask you a question. Why did it happen on 10th Street?
One more word. The waitress, she was asked by Joseph McBride, do you think your ex-husband could have done it? And she said, I personally don't think he did, but he could have. And he could have. And I don't know about it, but she conceded that he could have.
So why did it happen on 10th Street? Any opinion on that?
No, again, we only know what we know.
So 10th Street just happened to be where this jealous husband was walking, and Tippit decided to pull up and start talking to him?
Again, we only know what we know.
And what we know, Matt, is the guy that shot Tippit was walking on the sidewalk.
Yes, and they lived just a few minutes drive from where Tippit was killed, in the same neighborhood.
No, they did not. They lived. Shoot.
I just read it to you.
No, they lived like the 2500 block of South Tyler is where city records show that they lived.
No, as I just read from Henry Hurt's book, they lived a few minutes drive.
Henry Hurt's book is wrong.
Anyway, I'm not arguing that this
city records show that the waitress lived in the 2500 block of South Tyler at the time of the assassination, some 36 blocks from the scene of Tippit's death. And then Dale Myers conducted other interviews with former waitress to verify the address. At the time of the assassination, they lived some 36 blocks from the scene. So why is her husband out walking in front of 404 East 10th Street?
No, he writes it was 15 blocks. That's in his book.
You know what? It was
That's
actually more than
15 blocks
15. It was
away.
36 blocks. But even if it was 15,
Like I said, it's a couple minutes drive. If you're in a car, it's a couple minutes drive. But anyway, I'm not arguing that this
no,
is
see, you're
true.
backtracking now because you said that I asked you why would the jealous husband be walking on the sidewalk on 10th Street? You said they lived in the neighborhood.
I said they lived a few minutes drive.
You said they lived in the neighborhood. That's an exact what
I did. Oh,
you did.
then I
Yes.
misspoke. Sorry.
Okay.
They lived a few minutes drive from it. But anyway,
I would say it's more than a few minutes. 36 blocks would take damn near 25 minutes probably.
again,
Drop.
we're going to get into Tippett's actions in the next topic. But could he have been? Okay, we have to get to the next.
Okay, but hold on. Yeah, before we get to the next topic, I just want you to satisfy me here. Why would her husband be walking on 10th Street?
Again, the next topic will answer some of these questions.
Okay. All right, because I want you to answer that question.
What?
Then what? Why her
We'll
husband
bring
would be
up-
walking?
In the next
on the
topic,
side-
we'll bring up Tippett's actions, and I'll tell you.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do that. Then we can do my last topic last if you want, which is the ballistics.
You can do yours now.
Okay.